About 6 months ago, we released a podcast. And in that podcast, we spoke about 5 properties that we'd purchased for clients. It was episode number 58. We did not discuss locations. All we discussed was the value of the property and why we're investing in that particular region and what the purchase price and the growth was. Since then, those same properties have been revalued. And today, what we're going to do, I'm going to lean to you, Frank, is we're going to talk about what those properties are now worth. We're going to talk about the locations, and we're going to talk about if we're still in those locations. I'm very, very excited to get into this. I will say stay to the end of this podcast because, Frank, I've just forced you to announce another location that we're currently in today. So stay till the end of the podcast. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the subscribe button. Let's rock and roll. Let's get into it.
So when we released the other episode, we revealed the client, the property.
Yep.
We purchased for, how much it grew by, not the location.
Mm-hmm.
Today we're going to reveal the location. Why? Because we're buying still in those locations.
We are still buying in those locations.
Some of these locations, yes, we still are.
Cool. Awesome.
But I'll talk about some types of properties or value of properties we aren't buying in there.
Mm-hmm.
I'll touch on in a sec.
Mm-hmm.
But I think more importantly, what those locations have grown by, because it's good to see the data. Like if you look up on CoreLogic, how much this area has grown by, it's great. But sometimes it's double of what it's actually said.
The specific location you're talking about.
Of course, yeah. Like for example, Townsville's grown, let's say 25%. Some of those properties might grow 50% in a year.
Yes.
Compared to the 50%.
Of course.
25%.
The LGA. Yep.
Okay. So we're going to talk about that and what's going on there.
Let's rock and roll. Okay. Let's go.
So I will say that some of these areas we are still buying in, and I think the reason some areas we still are, but we're very specific, is that we don't want to be buying at certain price points. So if the properties are getting towards that 650, 700K mark, we might move into other areas that are different cycles that have a higher price and income ratio versus some of these areas here that we're going to be mentioning. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. So but just if you could clear that up, you're not specifically not buying in an area because it's worth $650,000. No.
No, we're buying, say, in an area where the median house price has grown to 600 grand, 650 or whatever it may be over the course of, due time. We don't want to keep buying properties around that median price, if not above. We start to buy a little bit lower end range, and that's because it's still those lower end properties can work their way up to the higher end.
Yep.
And so we're very specific. So then what we'll do is we might buy in a new area that we're buying in, and the price is already very high. The median house price is already high, but it's at the start of its cycle.
Gotcha.
And the income to value ratio is quite still strong in that area. So the median house price in those areas that, let's say, for example, the new location is 600 grand, they can still keep exceeding that and still keep growing, maybe to 800, 900, maybe close to $1 million, because the incomes there are much stronger.
Gotcha.
Where the area some of these areas here we've bought in, it's already grown a fair bit. We won't buy in at the top end of the range. We'll still buy the properties that are affordable, and we get that, of course, off market, on market, whatever, or before pre-market, before it gets released as well because of the connections.
Makes sense. Before you do go into it, the income to value ratio, what do you like to sit around? What do you like to hover around? What do you see as risky?
Yeah, price to income, I think, the lower the better. There's markets that we're in where it's as low as 5.
Right.
5 to 10 is quite nice.
Yep.
I guess when you start to get 15, 20 times, if not, I've seen up to 40 times in places in Sydney and Melbourne, then you probably want to say, of course, we don't buy in those markets anyway, but that's way too high. So I think around that 10 is probably your limit, 10 to 12.
Yep.
Is your limit, and then it starts to, walk away from those markets. But it'll be really good to see when the new data comes out. Hopefully, I think it's the end of this year, the new census data comes from ABS. That will change everything, because the thing is, we've got household incomes today at the old census, which is 2021 data, and it hasn't come out the new data, which surely should be coming this year. And then what we can do is compare that with the median house price, because the median house price changes every month.
It does. Yeah.
So we don't, but unfortunately, the household income, we don't get that data every month.
Yep.
So
that's for every 4 years.
That'll be interesting to see what that looks like.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Let's rock and roll. Do you remember the first one?
First one, do we remember the first one? So the first one was Marcus's property.
Yes.
Now, back in Feb, we purchased that, 2025. Okay. And we valued it after 4 months, and it grew 28%.
Wild.
Okay. Wild. That was a crazy valuation.
Was that, you're going to go into it, but was that more a metric or more a data set on buying property a little bit undervalued, or no, not
We
necessarily?
bought it undervalued, but sometimes the valuations and like they come back ridiculous. Like that's sometimes not true.
Okay.
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 And so sometimes you see, these crazy vals. We get them all the time. I remember we got one, I think it was Main Ung's property that we bought in Geraldton. It grew 50% in like 6 months.
6 months, yeah.
But then after 6 months again, you value it again, it was still at 50%. And then after 18 months, it was still at 50%.
Yep.
So sometimes the valuations from banks aren't accurate, or they'll still hold that value for quite some time.
We'll take it. You always take it.
You
for
always
sure.
take it. So Marcus actually took out that equity and he actually bought another property, which is fantastic.
Love it.
We got it valued again. Okay, so it's been 6 months since then. So 10 months or so since that purchase. It's still at 28.4%. It
Excellent.
was at 28, now it's at 28.4, a little bit higher, but really it's
Much
still,
of a muchness.
still much of a muchness.
So he's done 28% in his first year.
Yeah.
And you probably put a lot of that down to the fact that the valuer was feeling happy that day and you just went, yep, let's bang this up.
Yeah, I
to 20.
don't. Maybe who knows? He got lucky last
But takes
night,
it.
and he's taken these. He said, I'm going to value this property a little bit more. And Mr. Marcus got lucky, and he's gone out there and bought another property with that, with that value, and away
But
we
it's
go.
still valued the exact same
Still
amount
valued
today.
the same, yeah.
Okay. Can we go into locations?
That location there was in Burnie, Tasmania.
Awesome.
Okay. For the people that say, Mr. Jack Henderson, Burnie doesn't grow, these places don't grow in value. Tasmania's a bad spot. Anyway, you know how it is.
So you still are in this particular location?
Yes, still doing a little bit of work in there. Yeah, like I said, the price points were very specific of what we're buying, what type of properties, and where it is. So we are still buying there. I think it's still got a lot of room to grow.
Right.
Strong market. It's a market that really is so resilient. Like if you actually look at Burnie and some people that can get access to data, have a look at the cycle of house prices and what it does and stability. It's very, very stable.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very, very stable.
So he's still in there. It's just a little bit hot. I understand that. What's the price to income ratio?
Around there, it's 7 times, 7 to 8
They're still
times.
healthy,
Yeah,
still
it's
really
very
healthy.
Very,
Yeah.
It's under 8, sorry. It's in the 7. I think it's 7.5, 7.8.
And so what's his house valued at? Do you know?
The house,
Yeah, he's-
623,000.
Okay.
Yep.
And he got it in the 400s, I'd
Yeah,
imagine. Yeah.
So he's done extremely well.
That's awesome.
That market, like I said, that market there will keep kicking along. And there's a few here on this list that are in a similar location as well.
Cool.
So we'll touch on that
Love it.
as well.
Love it. Awesome.
Okay.
That's Marcus.
Number 2.
Go for it.
Christina. March 2025 grew 11% in 4 months. Okay. Today valued at $485,000. Grew 28%.
Again.
Okay.
Fucking awesome.
28%. So you can just see it's outpacing the average. The average, I think, in Burnie for the last 12 months was around 14 or 15%.
Okay.
For the whole LGA. So
Okay.
it's done pretty well.
Yep.
But then, of course, in suburb level, it's done even better.
Awesome.
Okay. Now that property, once again, in Burnie.
In Burnie again. So 2 good picks in Burnie. I've
In Burnie,
got a- I've got a
Tasmania.
property in Burnie as well. So
Yourself
happy
as well.
days. We'll see
I think
what
yours
mine
is in Park Grove.
You're asking the wrong bloke. I wouldn't have a clue where it is. But okay, I'm going to be interested. We ran Val's. I mean, I only bought mine in June of this year, I believe. June of 2025.
So she's done extremely well. I think she ended up great story about Christine. She bought one property, bought in Gladstone, done extremely well. She was capped out because she had 2 apartments.
2 shitty ones in Melbourne.
Yep.
Yep.
So she ended up selling those properties because she's like, I seen what this property's already done in Gladstone. Let's go for it. I think in Gladstone we bought a house for like 300-something thousand.
Fucking wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Sold those 2 apartments. She's gone out there. She's bought this one in Burnie. It's done already 28% as well. We bought in the low 3s, 300,000 for a house, and she bought another property as well. Now she's kind of at a level where she's kind of maxed out. She probably could, if the rents keep going up and her wage increases, she can go again. But she's taking that opportunity loss that she had with those properties that she bought in. I think one was in Essendon as an apartment, another one was Mirabina in Victoria. She sold them and she's gone out there and she's capitalised on that opportunity. So people that are listening, you have a shit property, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Do not keep it.
Yeah. And we don't say that from a place of judgment. We both have had shit properties. We both have sold them. So it's very difficult though. Francesco comes to mind. He's got a shitty property in his SMSFs, hasn't grown a fucking cent. He's held it for 2 years and he's just got that mentality that he can't sell it. How have these regions, how's Burnie specifically, I guess, these 2 regions compared to some of the capital cities across the country?
They outperform capital cities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see that continuing. That's always because there's always a risk. People always think that, well, hang on, it's a small city. Melbourne, Victoria seems like a really cool place to invest in right now. How will that compare to, let's call it Melbourne CBD? I know you've got no crystal ball.
I would say, so there's parts of Melbourne, like for example, in the last 12 months, Frankston grew 20% in Melbourne / Victoria. Okay,
Yep.
Melbourne's, you could say it's part of the metropolitan of Melbourne. So it's outperformed, you could say it's outperformed Burnie from a percentage, and as well from, of course, the medium house price there is much more expensive. So of course, 20% on a 700, I think it was 750 house price, and now it's grown to 900. Is of course much more higher than, of course, a Burnie medium house price is. I think
400,
it's
420,
I think it's 500 now.
Yep.
So, so like of course it's different, but the percentages aren't too far off. So of course you look at that, but there's a majority of the metropolitan of Melbourne, Burnie's outperformed it.
Awesome.
So
Okay.
it's area, I think, where not area, regional towns. You got so many more regional towns than capital cities. So unfortunately, you're just going to always have capital cities not performing as well as regional because you've got more to choose from.
Gotcha.
You know, there's only 8 capital cities. You've got 400 plus regional towns across the country. So
Okay. Cool.
So yeah. On to the next one,
Shawnee. Sean and Feber.
Sean Feber.
Yep.
We bought a property in Jan 2025.
Cool.
Okay.
12 months ago.
Grew 13% in 6 months.
Excellent.
Okay. Today, that property has grown to 20%.
Awesome. Another 7%.
20%.
In the last 6 months.
Yep. Valued at $615,000. Okay, the property is. I think we bought it in the 5s. Or no, I think under 5s. 490. We paid, $490.
20% would be about 100 grand.
Yep. So that property's in Albury. Good old Albury, New South Wales.
Albury, yes. Okay.
So I look at it. I think that market, or that market's done extremely well. Once again, I think it's done about another 14 or 15% capital growth as well for the year. And that's just, I think it's a very high end market. Like the medium house price, depending on where in Albury, can start at 500, 600 grand and work its way up to $1 million.
Much bigger market than your Burnie.
Much bigger from population. I think Burnie's got 20,000 people, about 50 or 60,000 in Albury. But then you've got Wodonga, which is across the border, which probably, once again, will take it all up close to nearly 100,000 people in that whole Burnie / Wodonga region.
Okay, cool.
You've got tourism. The economy is a little bit different. There's tourism, which is quite big in the Christmas period. But it's got the ATO headquarters, it's got the distribution centre for the Woolworths. It's got a whole bunch of other things going on.
You guys still buying in there or no?
We're still doing a little bit of work in there. Not a ton of a lot because house prices are getting very the higher end, 700 plus for a nice quality home in a good area. If there's stuff in that, that the price bracket that we find that fits our client's brief, the rental yields are quite good and they're healthy and it's not going to cost you too much to hold that property, fantastic. We'll go for something like that. Or we're looking at a low block of units.
What's before we go into the block of units, what's a healthy price in your opinion in Albury?
I think in the 6s. You can get stuff. We bought a cracker property for a client in the 7s.
Yeah.
But that's because we were looking for a specific home. There was an owner occupier appeal. He wanted, the bells and whistles. Okay. He was looking more a long-term approach, something from a resale that's going to grow and, a target that, that type of, owner occupier, which, and of course it there's not many of those type of properties on the market for rent. So the actual rent was actually quite healthy and the rental yield was still in the high 4s. So as a rental yield, which is decent. So we went with that approach for that client. So I think it just comes down to as well most clients' situation. I think we do get a lot of the clients that we go at the lower end. So, but we're still able to find that.
Yep.
We do a lot of units, buying a few units in that area.
Awesome.
So people listening, you want a unit strategy. Of course, that's what we've been specialising in that for a while now, and we're helping clients buy units where you can add value to them, increase the value straight away. And I think the rental yields in Albury are fantastic, where you can buy a unit probably in the 3s, if not low in the high 2s. That needs a bit of work. Put 50 grand into a renovation, that will increase the rental yield. You probably get $400 to $450 per week with a 2-bedroom unit. So the rental yield off the charts. Yep. So like that's a great strategy in itself. Or we're looking for one of our clients a $3 million block of units. I think it was 10 units we're looking at there, and that was I think 200 grand. That was bringing in rental yield.
Yep.
Sorry, 200 grand a year into that property, which is gross.
Yep, love it.
So
love it. Okay, so Albury, little bit different to Bernie. What was next on the list?
We've got Benji and Brooke.
They've done well.
March 2025. Okay, they purchased 2 properties at the same time, and they're buying, I think, another 2 now, which is great. At that time, 9.7% in 4 months. Today, that property has grown to 37%.
They've done well, yeah.
And it's valued at $707,000.
Cracker. How much they buy it for? And where was it, sorry?
They bought that property in the 4s, high 4s.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Where?
Or Albany.
Albany, WA.
Albany, WA.
Yep.
Okay. An area that's probably 45,000 people at the very bottom of WA. Not far from Esperance. Esperance is probably a little bit further away, which is that really touristy, nice, beautiful beaches. But Albany's got, agriculture from farming and to fishing to, all different types of other retail trades, wholesales and all, trucking and all that sort of stuff. It's done extremely well. It's probably one of the best performing towns or regions in WA at the moment, Albany.
Still now?
Yep, still now.
Okay.
Yep.
Surely some of these clients, I just want to take the viewers into the mind of some of these clients. Surely some of these clients went, why the fuck would I be investing in this regional town so far from any capital city? What's driving it? Surely you guys got that, surely.
Yeah, we do. We get it a lot today. Now we're buying in some areas like people are like, oh, why the hell are we buying there? The population might be 10,000 people for the suburb or for that area as well. And you have to, explain to them. And there's a lot of education that comes involved in them changing that mindset. I think you got to look at it as not if you're living there, because if you do use that approach, then unfortunately you're going to be taken down the wrong road and just do what everyone else is going to do, and emotion's going to get involved.
Which is
not saying don't be emotionless and not give an F, but I'm saying that you need to really understand why you're picking that mark and what's going to go there if you're getting that advice from a professional.
Yep.
Places like Bowen, back in the day, we were buying in Bowen in the Whitsundays. Bowen's got 11,000 people. It's like nowhere near the Airlie Beach. And people are like, why are we buying here? And we had to explain. I think it's 18 months, maybe 2 years now since we haven't bought there. And some of those clients we bought as low as 320 grand for a house that was literally turnkey, like 15.
Beautiful. Nick Curran was a perfect
example. 15 years old. And those properties today have probably grown 30, 40%, if not more. Some clients have got 60%. My brother, he's taken 150 grand of equity from his property. We paid 30 grand in Bowen. Yeah, it's renting out for $590 a week in rent for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage.
Well, Nick Curran, same thing. He's just, the reason why he's popped up is because he's just gone and purchased his second property last week or this week, and he's just taken out 100 grand, did not pay a cent in 18 months. I think he did that. Maybe let's stick to Bowen. How do you go about differentiating between, okay, what is an opportunity still? Your Albany, your Bowens, your Townsvilles, which you always talk about, but let's just talk about the other two. Opportunity, now, okay, hang on, if we continue to buy in Albany at 730, that's a risk. How are you able to differentiate that, and what are you doing to differentiate that?
So looking at the market cycle of how much that market's grown by, and over the course of those years, and some markets can just outperform others. So you don't, for example, if you see a market that has the potential and it has had the potential in the past that's grown 200% in 6 years or more, then you're like, okay, this market can probably move there. So you take that into consideration where that market cycle is and analysing that.
Yep.
You look at as well the affordability in income versus house prices, and it's very hard. If the income is, you got the 2021 data, but of course you factor in the house prices of today and it's still healthy and it's in that 7 to say 12 range, then you're like, okay, this can keep going because we haven't got the new data for incomes, and the incomes have definitely gone up, of course, since 2021. We know that across the country, of course, maybe not as fast as house prices, but we factor that in. And so we look at them, the affordability is still here. This can keep going, and we need to understand the metrics. Is there still demand? Is there still hype in the market? Is there still jobs getting created? And all those sort of other things that we mention that we've spoken about all the time. In our previous podcast, I think we've done podcasts on how to pick a hotspot, so if you go back and listen to that, but that there then will help you to, okay, this market's still good to go, and we can keep buying still in the 600 or 700K price points.
Okay. Is there a percentage growth that you look at I know you do a lot of things like on the ground. So if there's 10 offers on a property, that's too much for us. But is there a percentage growth over a certain period of time where you're like, I think we've missed out on too much here?
I think you need to look at the capacity of what that town has done in the past. So like I said before, like Geraldton's done 200% in the space of 6 years, 7 years back in the early 2000s. And I believe it can do that again now, and it's still doing that. It's like it's on fire. So, that would be different to a market that's only done maybe 100% in 5-6 years, and that's the best it's ever done in that history, in the last 2 decades.
Cool.
So that, and then of course the income ratio. The percentage. Look, I think if a market's had 30-40% in the last couple of years, 2-3 years, I think you can still get into that market, depending on what you're looking at and everything else can take in consideration. So I think the percentage number, I've spoken about this before. 30, 40, 50, 60%. Just it's relative of what the economy is. So that it can still sometimes be fine. But as well, if you're going to buy property and there's 10, 20, 30 offers on the table and you're struggling, those prices are getting pushed up and up, you might as well just leave if you're struggling and trying to do this on your own. Go to another market that's going to be a little bit easier. That's at the beginning of its growth phase.
It's such a flip on like the way that people do actually think about property, because it's the same in the stock world, right? It's like when a stock is firing, it's the actual perfect time to just leave it. And okay, there's other things there. But for some reason, when people see properties going ballistic, they feel like they need to get in. It just shouldn't be like that. It should be the actual opposite way.
Oh, good. It's good that you brought that up, because we had a client that's just come on board. No, sorry, they're buying their second or third property with us.
Right.
And they've said, hey, I think it's Oni. Oni's come to Anu, and Anu said, hey, Frank, he's asking about Albany. Can you just do a video and just talk about, like why we shouldn't buy there now? And he wants to try and get in. He spoke to his friend. He's bought there. His property's growing 20-30% as well.
Gotcha.
He's been told the story. So I go, Oni, this is what's happened. I've done a video. I go, the market's growing extremely well. As you can see, it's growing X amount of percent in certain regions. I go, some places have grown 60% in the space of 12 months.
Yeah,
that's how crazy it's grown in Albany. So I said, we can still get in there now, but if you're going to buy in 700-800K price range, I think we just leave and go to another market. It's at the beginning, and we can buy something maybe for 6 and not spend as much and save that money for another property.
Yep.
So that's how I positioned it. I looked at it and go, we can still get growth. It's going to do extremely well, but do you want to pay that premium price? And you're going to be paying, probably overs, and there's going to be a lot of offers on the table.
And the rental yield as well is just naturally not going to keep up.
Drop. Yeah, of course, it's going to drop.
So you just need to consider that. But okay, cool. Okay. I love it. That was for number 4. We got a 5th.
Yes, we got a 5th.
Who was the 5th?
So Dan, he bought in May 2025, grew 6% in 4 months.
Cool.
Okay, now the property is worth $615,000. It has grown 15.8%. Okay.
Additional or 15% in total?
In total.
Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
So that property, once again, is in Birmingham. Birmingham's a top favourite at the moment. It's doing quite well.
Excellent.
So once again, pretty self-explanatory. We've spoken about Birmingham a lot. It's done really, really well. But I think there's a couple others. The last one I think is an exciting one that's in Vic, and we can probably jump into that, I reckon.
Yeah. I mean, that's that. Just sticking on that. So that's probably going to do 20% annualized. That 15% over the last 7 months, really.
Oh, we've still got a couple months until he hits what he bought in March. So yeah, he's got a couple months.
March or May?
Yeah, March. So,
okay, March. Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah. So he won't hit that. He'll probably do maybe another couple % and then
cool. 15%. Happy with that. Awesome.
Yeah,
Tell me about the one in Vic.
So this one in Vic we bought in December 2024. Okay. At that time, grew 13% in the space of 7 months.
Awesome.
Okay. So when we done that podcast in June 2025, today that property is worth $577,000. It's grown 22%.
That's awesome.
So yeah, their property's growing 22%.
Holy shit.
We bought that property in Ballarat.
Your favourite market or one of?
One of. It's a great market. It's done extremely well. I think we bought that under $500,000 today. Try and get a property.
Be able to do that.
Yeah, it was in the 470, 480.
Cool.
Around there we paid. So it's done extremely well.
Again, us Victorians who think that the world is all around Melbourne, why the heck would someone want to go and invest in Ballarat? Surely Neha and Shree have gone, what the hell are we doing? What are we, like, this is crazy. Why are we going to go and invest in this region? And then now 22% is madness. So can you walk us through that?
So one of the big things is employment. So it's got a very diverse of employment across the board. So it offers a lot of different types of jobs, from professional services to, retail services. So it's very, and then of agriculture and everything else above. So it's like when you're attracting people from the capital cities, which is only an hour away from Melbourne, probably 40 minutes or so from Geelong, you start to attract people to come to Ballarat and work there. But also it's a great lifestyle. It's actually got, great amenities. It's got everything that you need at the front of the doorstep. Over 100,000 people that live there.
Big region.
So big region, very diverse, very strong economy. So that's, I think, one of the reasons. And then affordability. Like if you're living in Melbourne and you're saying, hey, I can earn the same amount of money, maybe more, move to Ballarat. I can sell my $1.5 million home in Melbourne, go buy something in Ballarat for literally half the price, and then still have money left over. That's a great as well opportunity for Australians or Melburnians to do that as well.
I love it.
So and price income ratio, once again, it's quite low. It's below 10. So it's like, okay, people have that opportunity to still enjoy life and not be stuck in the rat race in Melbourne. And you're an hour away. If you want to come in to Melbourne to do a bit of shopping or watch the footy or whatever it may be, go to the tennis, you can just catch a train. Hour and 10, hour and 20 maybe.
It's not too far.
It's not too far.
Much of a commute. We've got team members that travel longer than that. But you're not still buying, or you are still buying in there, but very rarely now. That is a hot market. Is that correct?
Very hot market.
Too hot.
I wouldn't say depending. If you got agent relationships, you can get stuff. But we're looking at properties. I remember, speaking to the boys the other day, they were looking at a property on market. It was like 20 offers. So there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of buyers agents. There's a lot of other own occupiers getting in their market too. So it is moving, but if you can have the right relationship, the right connection, you can still buy stuff there. And if you're looking to buy something at the high 6, 7, 100K price point, I do believe that market will be $1 million market one day, very, very soon.
Very soon. Yeah. That's cool.
Easy, because it's got everything you need. It's got the incomes. It's got the lifestyle. It's got everything that an owner-occupier wants to live there for whatever reason, or people that want to work there and have still that lifestyle that's a bit of that, relaxed, not, pressure, like you maybe go to hustle and bustle to Melbourne in the CBD. It offers that.
Awesome. Okay. Ballarat.
What's interesting about all this is, let's look at the data of the LGA of how much everything's grown in the last 12 months. So when you look at percentages, you do your research for the people listening, you look at CoreLogic and say, okay, this is what this LGA grew by, this is what this area grew by. We'll start off with Burnie, 13%. So you can see some of those properties one done 19, one done 28, or two done 28. So it's done extremely well, and it's gone above that. And you're always going to get that split difference.
And why is that split difference? Why does that?
Because you just got too many suburbs that can be like they didn't do quite well.
Okay.
So for example, Ballarat done 7.3% in the last 12 months.
Right.
But you look at the property that we just presented or we just spoke about, 22%. That's because there's other parts around Ballarat that the market's not doing too well. Like there's certain areas like Winter Valley, you don't want to be buying it. It's a new estate, oversupply of property. I think the vacancy rate's like 5%.
Yeah, no shit.
So the rentals market's not doing too well. But then of course you got even the rural part of Ballarat. So if house prices aren't moving or they're going backwards there, or if they're not really, there's no demand, that affects the medium house price. So that's a big correlation. And that can happen with Burnie as well. Burnie, you buy where Burnie's in the CBD and all those surrounding suburbs there. But then when you start on the outer fringe where it's like the farming area, that affects the medium house price.
Gotcha. So it's like having an index fund, and there's 200 stocks in that particular fund. There's 50 that are horrible. There's 50 that are great. There's 100 in the middle, and that it balances itself out. It equals 7%. Okay, that's very interesting. I don't know. You were going to go into something.
I was going to go. Look, there's Albany as well, 26%.
26%.
But there's suburbs that's grown, like I said, 60% in 12 months to some doing 40, some doing 30, some doing 20. So all those suburbs then, of course, impacts that.
And this is, I think, the importance of actually having your selection of, it's not just a region. Like when you go out, you do your research, like, all right, boys, we're going into Albany. We're going into this suburb, this suburb, this suburb. You do not touch this suburb, this suburb, this suburb, and for this, and this reason. Would it be possible for you to shoot out like 5 reasons as to why you wouldn't go into a particular area? I think you just said one before, oversupply.
Oversupply, because if it's a new estate on the outer fringe, like for Winter Valley in Ballarat, like it's just too many properties, vacancy rates through the roof. You're not going to rent the property out. You might buy a nice clean home that's brand new or maybe 5-6 years old, but unfortunately that market there is not going to grow at all.
Yep.
It's actually quite close to the CBD of Ballarat, so that's one reason. Public housing is another one. There's a high level of public housing or renters in that area. that can affect your prices. But we're very lenient. We'll buy in some areas that it's got the bad name, like don't buy in this, don't buy in Heatley, for example, in Townsville. But there's parts of Heatley we'll buy in that are really, really nice. So we go data source that can help us pick those pockets with public housing and things like that as well.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else that's super important to make you go, no, we're not going in this suburb or this suburb?
Population / if it's rural, like if it's really further out, like, maybe 10 Ks out of that CBD, you don't want to be buying there. Like if it's a rural town, and there's nothing going on there. It's just there's no demand. So you just want to stay away from that as well.
And just on that specifically, because I think this is actually a very good contrasting point. When you say CBD, when we go into price points into regions where the median house price is $500,000, you have the ability to buy in the heart of that city. When we go to Bendigo, we were in the heart of the city. We were buying in the heart of the city. You can't do that in Melbourne because the median house price is 1.2 million, right? Or whatever the fuck it is. So that's when you're saying, when you say CBD, it's CBD in that region, the best location in that region.
Correct, yeah.
Awesome.
There's, of course, you got Ballart's quite big, 120,000 people roughly.
Huge.
So you can buy it sometimes on the outskirts in those established areas, but there's new estate areas that are a little bit further out. Just stay away from it. Stay away from it. So there's oversupply. And then once again, vacancy rates. If there's too many rental properties in that area, that can happen as well with some of these areas. You want to stay away from that too.
Okay. And that'll affect the price point.
The price point, the rentals, the demands, everything as well.
Cool.
All the above.
And this is why, we're not actually too fearful of saying where we're buying, because it's not just, hey, you're just buying in a region, good luck, you're going to go and it's going to do well. Still will do better than most, but you've just said it right there. There's parts of Ballarat that did 7% or 7% as an LGA, did you say?
As an LGA, yeah.
Yeah, wow.
But then, people might look at that and go, oh, shit, I'm not going to be buying that. It's not doing well. And unfortunately, they get deterred and don't buy there and then move on.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
So
I'll cut you off.
So I guess, look, affordability, interest rates play a big part as well with some areas, of course, but more the high-end markets when it comes to capital Cs. That's why you want to focus there as well. But it just shows if you can line up the right ducks and everything makes sense. Of course, going into some of these regional towns like Burnie, 20,000 people, some people will go, oh, I'm not going to buy there. You can just, 15% for the LGA, but for suburbs, 20-something%. You just cost yourself, hundreds of thousands of dollars there. So I think just look at the information, make an informed decision, and you'll be fine.
Cool. We will promise.
Don't listen to the noise as well. People saying, oh, Tasmania doesn't grow in value, because that's...
I agree. And again, everyone's got their agenda. Much like this, right? Much like this. When I say agenda, we follow this strategy. It works perfectly for us and the hundreds of clients that we've helped. You did promise someone a new region. Or you didn't really promise. I said that you're going to do it. So whatever you want to take it. Region that we're currently in that people can go and do their research on. Again, this is not personalised advice. Go and speak to a buyer's agent or a professional.
Well, yeah, once again, this is, make sure, I'm not going to add more to that, but you got the hint. So I do like Tasmania a lot. We've been buying in Devonport. I think Devonport is still moving in the right direction, and I think it has a lot more to offer.
Awesome.
That's where the Spirit of Tasmania goes, from Geelong to Devonport. It's got a robust economy and, of course, value add to the economy as well of Tasmania. And I think it's still very affordable. And it's quite a big town. I think it's 25,000 people there. So, of course, make sure you do DD. Make sure you, of course, check your prices are, of what you're looking for is going to be competitive and still going to get good rental yield. Of course, the rents aren't as strong. If you're looking for like a 5 or 6%, you're probably not going to get that. It's more at the lower end, but growth-wise and demand for rentals is there, and I think it can keep moving forward. To be honest,
what's the price to income point at? I'm touching on this.
I haven't got it on me, but I think it's around 7 to 8.
Okay, so still strong.
Still strong in Devonport.
And what should you expect from a rental perspective? 4s or 3s?
Depending on what you're looking for. So if you're going to buy something around that 500, 600K, let's say 550, you're probably going to rent out for 500, 480 to 500 in between there.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay, you go higher, the price point, the yields start to compress a bit. This is not as strong, but depending, you might be able to find property we can add some value to, increase that rental yield a little bit more, and then of course just let the property sit there and grow in value.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. If you actually want a exact reason and full document as to why we're going into that region, what do they have to do? I want to give them something to do. Give this podcast a like and we will send you, if you flick us an email, how can they get in contact with us, Carl? Click the link. We'll give it to you. We'll give you an exact breakdown of why we're investing in that particular region. All you got to do is like it and click a link of some sort. There's going to be a link somewhere, I think.
Listen to this carefully, because there's a lot of golden nuggets that we've actually said here today that's going to help you build that property portfolio and find that next hotspot.
Love it. Thank you, Frank. Thank you for the reports. Thank you for all the data. See you next week.